Hi guys, it's Sam. Welcome back to Hobonichi for Beginners series. This is going to be video 2 in a series of I'm not really sure how many videos are going to end up being in this series, but this is video 2. If you didn't know that there was a first video in this series, I will have it linked below. And that one was just a very basic beginner's what is Hobonichi, where I gave a very brief description of Hobonichi and then the different planners that Hobonichi has to offer. Today's video is going to be taking a deeper dive into what each of these planners has to offer. When I first found out about Hobonichi, it was 5 or 6 years ago, and I was coming from Erin Condren, Inkwell Press, planners like that kind of had a design theme already to them, and I kind of felt like I was being put in a box where my tastes and ideas were kind of pushed away by the things that were already on a page. At this point, I had already tried a bullet journal and realized that just having blank pages that I needed to make a planner into was just not going to be for me. It wasn't good for my life. I didn't have the time, I didn't have the energy, and I just didn't want to. So as much as I liked the idea of a bullet journal, I knew that it was never going to work for me. So when I realized that I wanted more of a blank page, simple layout, but I also didn't want a bullet journal, I went shopping around and searching the internet, and I ended up discovering Hobonichi at that time. So the first one that I started out with, that's the order we're going to go in today, the order that I have tried these planners in, and what I think about each of them, what planning features they have, what I did and did not like about them, and why they didn't work for me. So we're going to get started with the A6, the Hobonichi Techo. I have only purchased this one in this English version like this. Now I did use this for a journal for most of 2019 before I ended up going into a B6 Slim from Nanami without the dates. So what I liked about this was that it was a planner, but it had so much opportunity to do whatever you please. There is a timeline here just that you have noon, and this is different than the Japanese version. And then you have this little fork and knife icon here where you could put like your meal. But what I loved about it is that there was just the grids here and the date, and that really if I wanted to write over any of this, I could, and it's not something that would be very obvious. It's really easy to ignore this. So my original thought when I purchased this was that, hey, this is a day on a page, it's not that big of a book, I won't feel like overwhelmed or whatever, and I'll do my to-do lists, and I'll put my meal here, I'll track my weather up here, and I thought this would be great as a planner. Now it does, this one has a couple of things in the front here. So you have some calendar spreads. So you have the year at a glance for the year you're in and the next year, and then you have this section here that breaks down the month vertically, and a lot of people use this as a tracker or as an index. Say on one of these pages I wrote that my car is repaired, or there was a recipe that I wanted to remember, I would put that in the index here so that I would be able to easily find that page, especially if you're using it as a planner rather than a journal. And people use it for many different things as well. So that goes through the whole year. And for the first half, well, the first 4 months of the upcoming year, then you have your monthly layout, and then it goes into your dailies. So you have a lot of different things that are calendar-like. The only thing that's missing in this particular one is a weekly. There is a weekly insert that you can get to go with this to make it like a full-fledged, you have all of the things in a planner. For me, it's too small, it's not what I was looking for, and it's just something that I quickly dismissed. I know people who use it and love it. For me, it's a no, it's a no. So I quickly discovered that this was not going to be great as a planner for me as much as I tried. I was feeling like I didn't really do well without the weekly overview, and then I found myself not feeling like it was just a very good functioning planner for me because of that. If you're a person who does not care about having a week at a glance in front of you to keep you, moving forward with your week as a whole, then this might be the perfect planner for you. And it's beautiful because the size is really small and compact. It has the Tomoe River paper, which we didn't even talk about in the first video, but it's one of the selling points of this planner for sure. It's also something that people don't like about this planner, but we'll talk about that some more in this video. For me, it didn't work out as a planner. The other thing, like I just mentioned, you have the paper. So the Tomoe River paper is loved and hated. It's beautiful paper that crinkles when you write on it, takes to watercolor and other things beautifully. I like how the pages feel after you have written on them and watercolored in them. But if you're just like a normal pen user, let's say your favorite pen, and this is a pen that everybody knows about, is a Pentel Energel pen, 0.7. Lots of people love and use this pen. So one of the problems with this pen is that if you were just writing with a normal gel pen, because of the way this paper is made, it's going to smear. Now, I waited a second there, and this kind of pen is actually better for that. But if you're writing things down, it's going to smear. And so if you're using it as a planner, that might be a problem for you. If you love to use ballpoint, it's not going to be as much of a problem. But if you're a gel pen user like me, it makes you crazy. For me, I love using fountain pens, but I don't love using fountain pens in my planner. I just want to be able to grab whatever pen, write things down, go on. I don't want to worry about my fountain pen if it has ink in it, things like that. My fountain pen is reserved for my journaling. So I think that this one is pros for size and cons for it doesn't have a weekly overview. The next up is the Hobonichi Weeks. And this one has everything you need in a planner, but it does not have the daily pages, which some people would think that that's a problem, and other people don't use a daily in their planner at all. This one I didn't stay in very long because I quickly realized that I did not like the bulk of the mega weeks, and I was never going to use all of those pages, so I felt like it made it not worth it. But this one has, and I think I'm not going to be able to show you this one because I have some pages messed up from where I took stickers out. All of these are kind of similar. The difference with the weeks is that you have this cream colored paper instead of that stark white paper of the A6 Techo and the Hobonichi Cousin. They say that that's because they believed you'd be like out with it more like as your planner, and that would reduce glare. I'd prefer if they were all white across the board, but you do get used to it after a while. So you have your year at a glance, and you have it for the current year, the year before, and then the next year. I always cover this space with a sticker. I mean, like a photo sticker. This would be your indexing section. I don't utilize this very well because I just think it's too scrunched in. I don't like it much at all. Again, with the months, you have all of your months in here, and as you can see, this is the Japanese, so you have your kanji. Again, it's kind of shocking to me how much English is in these planners since these are Japanese planners. But you have the months, but again, instead of it being like a square, it's more rectangular-ish because this is like a long, thin checkbook feeling kind of book, which some people love and some people hate about that. So I really like this particular format. This is actually what I have as my personal rings right now, an insert. The difference is it's just bigger and wider. So the way I used it is I would put my known dates, the things that I had to do on certain days, like appointments or whatever, on this side. And then I would put my weather here, which I think I have some of that in here. Let's see. Yeah, see. So I would put things that I had to do on this day, and then like a to-do list here. I did a tracker here, and then I would track the weather. Sometimes I changed it up a little bit. I really liked using these pages. I used watercolor some, but I ended up going back to rings, not because this didn't function as a planner for me. It was mainly because I really wanted to be able to take things out and move things around, and that was ultimately the thing that took me back to rings, that ability to change your mind and move things around. But I really did enjoy this as a planner for a couple of years in a row. So the rest of the book, let's go back to this fresh one. So you have the whole year, and then you have note pages. And this is supposed to be set up kind of like an index, but that's definitely not enough room. So the rest of it is your note pages, and then some, like, which I didn't even cover in the other one, but it's these pages that just I never really utilize. You have this My 100. I always think that I want to use it, but I never end up using it. I usually use a test pen page, and that's, you know, for the most part what I utilize the back of that for. When I was using it as my main planner though, I did make different pages in the back, like a space for washi, and then like my watercolors. I would always put in my wish list for the next year. I stopped using this one, so I didn't put it in. YouTube ideas. I did my shopping list back here, trying to take up some of all of these pages, and it just didn't work out. Pen test pages, passwords, gifts, things like that. So I would set up these pages at the beginning of the year. Again, I think the pros for this one is that it's a really nice size. It doesn't bulk up your bag, or you can just carry it out. It's really nice and lightweight. The cons, again, would be the paper, which is one of the pluses for it. Again, because if you're just jotting something down and you're trying to write, it's gonna smear if you close the page too soon, or if you're using a pen that's too inky. It's just very particular with the ink. And I got like to where I was trying all the pens out there, and nothing was the best blend of it not smearing and me liking it personally with my handwriting. And other than the wanting to change things around in rings, was ultimately the death of the Hobonichi weeks as a planner for me. Next, we have the Hobonichi Cousin, and the Cousin is the only book that has everything in one book. So again, this one, it's going to have your year at a glance here. It's going to have your vertical months, which again, people use as an index or a tracker for your habits. And then you have these very large, glorious monthly boxes that you can fit everything in if you're a real big monthly calendar person, which I personally am not, but I still enjoy having this. And then you have your weekly layout, and it is vertical, which took some time for me to really get accustomed to. I'm more of a horizontal planner, but I do like this now, and I'm not using this as my planner, but I am using it as a memory planner. So let me grab mine. I got it up here. So I don't carry this everywhere with me. I carry my personal rings with me, but I do come back and I fill in my week as like a memory planner. So each night I sit down with my planner and I go over the things that happened that day that I want to remember, and I plug them in here. That's how I use it. But lots of people use this as their planner that they take everywhere. So you have the whole year in your weeklies, and then you have your dailies. And this is where I personally journal. I don't like to repeat a lot of information, so I usually keep my to-do lists and my shopping lists and things like that in my personal rings, and then I put the highlights of the day in my weeklies, and then I journal about my thoughts and feelings and do some hand lettering in the daily pages, so I don't feel like I am copying a lot of the same information from book to book to book. Now this one is so that if you wanted to make this like a more larger version of a bullet journal, you have some check boxes up here that you can use, and you have a timeline here. Again, you have a calendar at the bottom, and then the Japanese, which I cover up with washi tape personally. So what I will do is I will go in with whiteout and I'll cover this up, and then I'll cover it with washi tape. Let me if there's a journal entry that's not too personal. So I haven't washi taped this one yet. This was actually yesterday's entry, but I will cover that up with washi tape and make it just a bit decorative. So I have never tried to use this as a planner per se. I did use one a couple of years ago for my faith journaling, and that didn't last all that long. I kind of got burnt out on all of the space. But what I was doing is I was reading the Bible and I was doing a SOAP writing here, and then I was putting like a word that struck me for the day in my reading, and I would hand letter it here horizontally. So I liked that idea, but it didn't end up ultimately working out the best for me, so I let it go. But I have never used this as like my take it everywhere, this is my planner book. It's not too big, it's A5 sized, it's bigger than all the others, but it's not a whole lot bigger than the profile of a personal ring bound planner, you know, inside of its cover. So it's not horrible. It's nice and lightweight, which again is to be thanked for the Tomoe River paper. Now, once you put a bigger kind of cover on it, if that's the way you go, it adds weight and bulk, but that is for yet another video. Other than the ones that I have, there is the 5-year and the day free, and those come in these 2 sizes. Now, if you watched the first video, I did kind of explain, though it's not something that has ever really appealed that much to me, so I have never decided to try it. They also have notebooks that are in those same sizes. As of now, I'm not using any of these as my planner, but for this year, 2021 coming up, I did purchase the Cousin and the Weeks. The A6 is not something I see myself using in the future. I do have fond memories of it, but I felt like I grew out of it as a journal size, and it didn't work for me as a planner, so this one I let go. If you don't think you have as much to say in a day, or you think that this would be a great size for something like a bullet journal, you might want to try this one out. I'm not using this one as my planner anymore because it made me crazy with the pens, and I didn't have the ability to move things in and out of it like I did the ring system. But it is a great planner. If I was going to go back to any of them as like my planner, this week's would be the one that I would do that in. And again, with the Cousin, I'm not using it as my planner, I'm using it as a memory planner and a journal. So that is the end of video number 2, what each of these books have to offer. The next video is going to be all about accessories that you may or may not need. I'll talk about the most basic ones, not everything that's out there, because if you look at the website, there are tons out there to choose from. But I'm going to talk about the accessories that I think are worth it to purchase when you're ordering, especially from the Hobonichi website. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're new here and don't want to miss out on future videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much as always for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.